He didn't draw for 20 years, not because he couldn't, but because one day he decided it was already too late. He was 38 when a strange thought appeared. He felt envy toward people who simply picked up a pencil and started, without a plan, without a strategy, without excuses. He couldn't do that. Too much time had passed. As a child, he drew every day, on notebook margins, on the backs of receipts, on walls he was later scolded for. People said he was good, that there was something alive in his lines. But once, someone said it wasn't serious, that drawing wouldn't pay the bills, that it was a childish hobby, that he should think about the future. And he listened, like so many do. He carefully folded his sketches and put them away, not for safekeeping, but as if forever. Years passed. He chose a real career, a stable job, a predictable path. He learned to be adult, practical, responsible, but sometimes his hand paused over a blank page and drew lines, on its own, without purpose, without meaning. As if something inside remembered a forgotten language, he always stopped, smiled at himself, and called it foolish. Then returned to routine. One rainy day, he stepped into a small gallery, not with intention, only to escape the weather. A simple painting hung on the wall, nothing complex. Lines, color, silence. Beside it was a small card. The artist began at 42. He read it twice, as if afraid he misunderstood. 42. He almost laughed. He was close to that age. And something shifted inside him. Not inspiration, not motivation, just a quiet sense of lost breath. That evening, he bought ordinary pencils and a plain sketchbook, not because he believed in himself, but because he was tired of being afraid. He sat at the table, opened the first page, and stared at the blank space, as if it was staring back. His hand trembled. His thoughts tangled. Everything looked awkward, but he didn't stop. He drew one line, then another, and something strange happened. He felt not fear, but silence. He didn't become an artist overnight. His drawings were not instantly beautiful, yet something began to change. He slowed down. He became calmer. He noticed more. The streets looked different. Faces more detailed, light more meaningful. The world stopped being background and became a conversation. He drew in the evenings, not for results, but for the process. And somehow, it felt like coming home. After a few months, he saw it clearly. He treated himself differently, more gently, more patiently. He stopped waiting for perfection, stopped demanding mastery. For the first time, he allowed himself to learn, not to perform. And with that, tension faded. The kind he had carried for years, quietly, like invisible weight. He realized something simple. He wasn't afraid of drawing. He was afraid of being unskilled, afraid of looking foolish, afraid of starting from zero. But that was the real transformation. Not the lines, not the colors. The permission to be a beginner, an adult beginner, and in that, there was freedom. A year passed. His drawings grew steadier, but that wasn't the point. He felt alive again, not just performing life, but creating it. He remembered who he was as a child, not naively, but consciously. He no longer asked if it was too late. He already knew the answer. Too late is when nothing wants to move. And as long as something still does, time is still open. Sometimes the world doesn't change. Only one choice does. The choice to stop waiting for permission and simply begin. Even if it feels awkward, even if it feels frightening, even if it feels late, by someone else's standard. Real beginnings do not arrive perfect. They arrive as a crooked first line, the one you keep postponing, because you are afraid. And maybe That line was always the beginning, waiting for you for 20 years.